Am I audible to all of you? Can you just message me? Okay. Okay, guys. See, again, 2 or 3 papers are left out that I'll share that if your message is not opened and if you're not getting the papers, don't worry about that. I've kept it purposely so that I won't miss it. In case if I have opened any of your message, if you see the blue tick and if I have not yet responded, just remind me. Okay, because this was like a big commitment that I've taken and I'm flooded with so much of papers, guys. So you can expect that's why I'm taking a lot of time and I myself is evaluating all the papers. Okay, so what we will do, we will start with paper 2. Now here, this is not like what we have done so far. So far in paper 1, we have something which is fixed, very objective. We have prepared that and we are almost trying to reproduce the same, right? For any topic, we know what all thinkers we need to bring in, right? We know the concepts, we will write the concepts, we will write the opposite stance, right? We will talk about the criticisms, we will talk about the connected things and everything. And we did not find or we did not face much problems with respect to paper 1, be it any topic, whether it is thinkers or stratification or any chapter, we have done in the same way, right? It is very much objective. And you guys have done very well also in the test. Okay, so now we are going to paper 2. Now, let me tell you one thing, guys. You will not face any problem in paper 2 with respect to the question. You see any topic, any question, it will be known to you. There will not be anything which is not known to you. Okay, so it's like even any GS student attempting the paper 2 of sociology, they know all these questions. But what matters is simply the mindset. Let me tell you, this is all what matters in paper 2. There is no problem with the knowledge. Whatever you have learned in paper 1, you can apply. Okay, and then whatever we are going to learn, each and every topic in the syllabus we will learn and we will see, right? We have the materials and everything with us and we will go through the questions and everything we do. But beyond that, what we need is a mindset. We need to adapt to the question. We need to, look into the question and what is the demand of the question. And based on that situation, something which might have read in some area may be accommodated in that particular answer. For example, if you see questions like here, we have taken 5 chapters, right? The first Indian thinkers we have taken, and then colonial, colonial period, that take chapter 2. That then we have taken village studies, right? Agrarian social structure, agrarian social transformation, then industrialization, urbanization. That areas is what I've covered in this. I think there are around 60 pages, around 60 questions are there. All the topics I've covered, right? Whatever is there, I've given you the material and just go through that. So, guys, is there anything which is not known to you? Something, these socio-religious reform movements, if you see, those you have studied in history, right? But here we will be, when you're writing the answer, you will be more focusing on the consequences of the impact, right? How is it affecting the women? How is it affecting the caste structure? How is it affecting the class? Is there any changes which is actually happening in the class structure also due to these movements? What are the no, I won't say like in paper 1, I've told you whatever I have given to you is sufficient. Even if you are not going to read Harlem Bose or Ritzer or any other books or even the materials, any other material, it's perfectly fine for paper 1, and you know that. You have seen that whatever from wherever I can accommodate, I have accommodated and I've given it to you. But in paper 2, guys, we can't say anything. No one is complete in paper 2. What we can do, we can see that syllabus and the books which I have told you to read. Just go through these, some textbooks. This one, K.L. Sharma, Social Structure and Change. Okay, Themes and Perspective, Danagare. I've told you to read that. Sociological Thought, Nagla. If you want, you can read that also. And then Ghanshyam Shah for Social Movement. Right. So I'll text you in WhatsApp what are the textbooks. In case if you need to read something extra beyond the materials that you have the class notes, add it along with the current affairs if possible, Hindu or Indian Express, whatever you are reading. Current affairs is very important because you have a chapter on social movement, right? Last year we are expecting that farmers movement will be asked and we were discussing in the class And while discussing, I was telling that every year you will be getting 2 questions from social movements. And this year we are going to expect farmers movement, exactly the same as what asked, right? So like that, current affairs is going to be very important, and you need to add contents from the newspaper so that you can add value to your answer, right? Whatever new issues are happening, if it is having some sociological significance, then accommodate into your notes whatever you have prepared. That is what you need to do. But again, it's all about what you have read and what kind of knowledge you have, what kind of sociological understanding you have. I've seen many people, like in paper one, very innocent people just come, mug it up everything and reproduce the same, and hardly, trust me guys, you will get 70, 80 marks. And the same person will get 150, 160 mark in paper one. Because maybe in paper one, that approach will work out. Paper two, that approach is not going to work out. You cannot simply mug it up and you cannot reproduce exactly the same, right? For example, is it possible, there is a chapter on or topic on village studies. There are hundreds of village studies. Which all village studies you will study? It is very difficult, right? That is what I've told you. The mindset is what more important. What we do when we discuss about the village studies, I have given everything in the notes. We divide into post-independence and pre-independence, right? And pre-independence, it is mainly British administrators and British scholars, at least till 1920, till sociology was established as a discipline in India. So when the British administrators are conducting the study, you can expect what they will do, right? They will try to justify their rule in India. They will try to malign India. Mostly it is Indological perspective, but it is classical Indology. And then after 1920s, when sociology established in India, GS Ghurye, then modern Indology or sociological Indology and some kind of sociological understanding will be started. So they have highlighted a very backward, very primitive picture of Indian society. For them, what is the problem with the voice? Why is it same with everyone? Voice is not clear. Can you just message me, others? Is there any problem with the voice? Okay. So guys, if you see the pre-independence period, this is what we need to do, right? If you have this understanding, it doesn't matter. Now, let me tell you, they may ask you S.C. Dubey, they may ask you A.R. Desai, they may ask you Andre Bette, they may ask you Yogendra Singh. Okay, no, not possible maybe. They will ask you M.N. Srinivas. Okay, or whatever village studies they are going to ask, if you know the basic things, then only the perspective will vary, right? Otherwise, almost all the content and understanding will be the same. One thing which you can write in common for all these thinkers, what is that? Can you guys tell me? One thing which you can write, something common for all these, whether it is M.N. Srinivas or A.R. Desai or S.C. Dubey or Andre Bette, whatever village studies, R.C. Majumdar or whatever they're asking, what is the common thing which you can write? The common thing which you can write is all contested the British understanding, right? The very same simple thing is what you can write. So will you be facing any problem, even if they're asking? So what you will do, initially the village studies are done by British administrators and British scholars. You'll start like that. And then you will tell that kind of understanding that they have developed. It is primitive, it is traditional, and Indian villages are little republic, having everything they need within themselves and independent of any foreign relations. You explain all these things and then come back to that particular thinker on which the question is asked. You tell that he contested Indian villages are not self-sufficient, not monolithic, not atomistic, right? They were interdependent. And at least you know the concept of village exogamy, right? It is actually clan exogamy, village exogamy. That means villages are dependent, at least in terms of marriage. Even there are no evidence to tell that villages are independent, even in economic spheres. Even in economic matters also they are dependent. Social affairs, they are dependent. So this is what contested by almost all sociologists. So this is something which is very common. Okay, and then based on, again, if it is M.N. Srinivas, now let me tell you guys, they will ask you M.N. Srinivas perspective. There also you need to write this dominant caste. You need to write about Sanskritization, his idea about caste and everything. If they are asking M.N. Srinivas in village studies, there also you need to talk about his structural functional approach, structural functional ethnography. What do you mean by that? Structural functional ethnography? Structural functionalism, exactly the same thing that you have seen in Durkheim, Parson, Davis and Moore, etc. Plus, what is the problem in Durkheim? He have taken data from the secondary sources, referring to ethnographies. But what Durkheim was doing, going to the field and collecting it, right? Field view. So that approach, structural functional plus field view, is what structural functional ethnography. That in itself can be a 10 marker. Okay, and then if they're asking you village studies of M.N. Srinivas, again you write the same thing: structural functional approach, field work, dominant caste, Sanskritization, all these caste, views on caste and everything need to be incorporated in your answer. Okay, but again, the simple idea you understood, right? It is like pre-independence, what was the kind of understanding? Post-independence, what the kind of understanding? Similarly, again, you need to make a, the skeleton, right? Suppose they're asking you questions on consequences on land reforms, land tenure system, green revolution. All these almost are same, right? It's like you need to talk about what happened with the class. Whether it is land reform, there are some class alterations, right? Some got land, some lost land, right? The traditional relations have broken, Jajmani system have gone, right? All these things need to be incorporated. What happened with the caste? The obligatory relations became contractual relations, right? The ritual hierarchy went to secular hierarchy. Secular hierarchy is now more important than the ritual hierarchy. Again, what happened with women? What happened with the aged? What happened with migration? Sex ratio due to migration, what happened? When it comes to land tenure system, money lenders, exploitation, landless laborers, poverty, unemployment, guys, all these are rural unrest, especially in land reforms, and then more after Green Revolution. Okay, different classes have emerged. All these are very, very common, which you will see, common in all these. So that is the approach that you need to have. Everything is given in the material, but again, based on the question, you need to interconnect everything. That is what I mean by the mindset. You cannot learn too much of things, right? Is it possible for everything you need to learn like 200, 250 words for each and every topic? No, they can ask you the topic in any different way, whatever you studied, right? For example, dominant caste you can use in many places, right? When you are getting question on caste, there you will write dominant caste, right? The changes which is actually happening. And then when you get a question on village studies, there also you will write dominant caste. When you get a question on MNC Universe perspective, there also you will talk about dominant caste and Sanskritization to tell that how field view is different than Indology. In the book view, right? There is a difference between book view and field view. That in itself can be another question. How book view and field view are different. So we talk about GS Ghurye's understanding on caste and then MNC Universe understanding on caste. GS Ghurye, it is a bookish view. There is no such concept of Sanskritization, right? It's not possible. You born in a class, you end caste, you end in a caste. On the other hand, M.N. Srinivas is talking about Sanskritization, right? Brahminization and all these things. Similarly, Brahmins are always superior according to GS Ghurye. That is what the book says. But that's not the case. Even other caste also can be superior, dominant caste, provided certain conditions. So guys, see these simple concepts where all you can write. Okay, so that's exactly what we are going to focus on. Now, again, I have given, suppose this is Indology. Okay, this is what your first chapter, Indology, structural functional perspective, Marxist perspective. But as I've told you, I might have incorporated Ghurye's view on caste. Something which you need to study in the chapter on caste, but do you want to study that separately, guys? Is that the approach which is required? No, right? They can ask you Ghurye's views on caste, actually Indological perspective. Here, if they are not asking, you will be writing it as an example. Ghurye is talking about 6 features of caste, right? Attributional approach. That is Ghurye's views on tribes. You are not studying that specifically in the chapter on tribes. Don't think that this is a question from tribe. Ghurye's views on, that means it is based on Indological perspective. It can be treated as chapter 1 or chapter tribe or chapter on caste. It is all interconnected, guys. Okay, so that is the reason why I have incorporated those questions also in the PDF. You may see Ghurye's views on caste. I think caste is ignored, and then I've added tribes. Okay, Ghurye considered tribes as backward Hindus, part of continuum. Similarly, structural functional perspective, I have also incorporated these dominant caste Sanskritization concepts in this PDF, Marxist perspective. So all these are connected, okay? Now, do you want me to explain these things? It is not required at this juncture. Ghurye, bookish understanding, culturological understanding. Okay, so referring to the books, you will make up a idea. Now, if the question is about Indology, you are not only going to talk about Ghurye. I'll briefly tell you the structure. You first talk about initial Indology. That is what classical Indology, the British administrators, British scholars for the purpose of administration and their idea. Okay, their idea. Just give an example from village studies. Okay, that is also an Indological study. The classical studies you can write and give examples. Okay, they considered Indian villages as monolithic, isolated and unchanging entities, atomistic, monolithic, isolated, unchanging entities, right? And they are little republic having everything they need within themselves, independent of any foreign relation. Foreign relation here means between two villages. Okay, guys. So that is what you can write as a one or two example, the way they have conducted studies. And then you talk about modern Indology. That is what Ghurye's Indology. But during this time, 1920 to 47, Indology was used along with other theoretical perspective like Marxology, which is a combination of Marxist approach and Indological approach, right? Similarly, along with anthropology also it was used. All those things you need to mention. And then the key elements of this Indology approach. Bookish view, understanding is what matters, not providing solution. Culture-centric understanding or culturological understanding. That's a very important word, guys. You should be writing that. Culture is very important. Indian society can be studied on the basis or understanding of its culture. So it's a culturological or culture-centric understanding. Then all these things are there. Uniqueness of Indian civilization, understanding historical moorings. That means continuity from its past, like that. Guys, look into the questions. I'm not going to, I have given the criticisms also, Brahminical sociology, because he is talking mainly from Brahmin's point of view. That bias is there in his approach. So that is why oversimplification of these are simple. Then structural functional perspective. I hope you understood what I mean to say by structural functional ethnography. That can be a 10 marker. Okay. Marxist perspective, it is exactly the same as that of historical materialism that we have discussed, the same approach, dialectical materialism, right? So productive relation, everything. But the main productive force, if you see in A.R. Desai's approach, is actually land, okay? Because industries are not that developed. So productive relations in the point of view of land. Same contradictions, conflict, antagonism, same things. Social background of Indian nationalism, there's a very short answer. One of the other way in which you can approach social background of Indian nationalism. I've given the PDF, the elements related to, the factors related to everything. But what you can do is you can also divide Indian nationalism in different stages. 1857 to 1885, 1885 to 1905, 1905 to 1920, 1920 to 35, 35 to 47. You can divide into this 5 phase and then discuss the different social background. When I discuss about the social backgrounds during each phase, you need to talk about the kind of ideology, the kind of leadership, the kind of movement, women participation, peasant participation, different religions participation, the workers participation, the tenants participation, industrialist participation, all these groups. That's what I mean by all the social background need to be incorporated in the answer. Indological approach and structural functional approach. It is basically compare book view and field view. I have just now told that. Now, village studies, guys, this is a very, very important chapter. And this in itself can be like, they can ask you separate question, Andre Bette, SC Dubé, etc. But that is very difficult for you to prepare all. But at least these SC Dubé have given in this. Andre Bethé somewhere I've mentioned, but at least that is what you need to know. But the common thing is what all these have challenged the British understanding. That is something which is very common. You can write and elaborate upon that. If it is MN Srinivas, you have enough and more content, you will not face any problem. Dominant caste, you need to write. Sanskritization, you need to write. If it is SC Dubey, I have given in the bottom. All these are different village studies. All can be asked, okay? Now, what are the land tenure system? Mainly that they will not ask you what are the land tenure system. Before they used to ask, but nowadays they will not ask. They will ask you the consequences. So when they are asking you the consequences, land tenure system means the conditions under which you hold the land. Like zamindari system, mahalwari system, ryotwari system, and all those are the main land tenure systems. So explain that briefly and then tell what are the problems associated with that. Mainly this money lenders, poverty, unemployment, chain of intermediaries, and that will create new different classes. Okay, landless labors, all these are what you need to bring in here. Conflict, okay, exploitation between this judgmani relations. Economic impact is not that important for us. Okay, that means it is like poverty, indebtedness, and all those. But the sociological impact, that is what I have written here, very important. Okay, and then land reform. What are the 5 land reforms? They will not ask you what are the land reforms. Again, impact and consequences is what they're going to ask you. The main land reforms were abolition of zamindars, right? That means intermediaries, and then ceiling on land holding, tenancy reform, and then cooperative farming, consolidation of land holding, right? So what are the consequences? Somebody got the land, somebody lost the land. So obviously there will be an alteration in the class structure. What are the new classes have emerged? What happened to the old landlords? What they became, and what happened to those who got the land? And what are the situations of the others like sharecroppers and all? And for them, tenancy reform came. Okay, and then what happened with the caste? Some of them became dominant caste. Why they became dominant caste? They are numerically strong. Now they got the advantage of land reform. They are getting economically strong also, especially after Green Revolution. Okay, they became politically dominant. They became dominant caste. That is also one of the impact. Then traditional obligatory relation, this judgmani relation, to there is a shift to contractual relation. Okay, especially after Green Revolution, you can see a shift to feudal mode of production to a capitalist mode of production. The traditional relations have changed to contractual relation. Traditional relation, when I say, means there is a feudal element, judgmani relation. That is what obligatory relation, okay, between judgment and the common. But now that is changed. Similarly, there was a ritual hierarchy and a secular hierarchy. There is an alteration in the hierarchy also. Okay. Guys, when I talk about this, provide historical background of village studies, I'm talking mainly about Indological studies, British understanding. But even if this is what they have asked, what you need to do towards the end, you will be facing somewhat difficulty for writing maybe this content alone. So don't stick to this alone, what is asked, right? You will be talking about what is the historical understanding and everything. You can talk about Max Muller's and Charles Metcalfe and all these British administrators. But later, towards the end, you also need to talk about 1 or 2 Indian thinkers. And you tell that all these understanding on Indian villages were, centered around their bias, British, bias. So it has been contested by the future studies, and then talk about MN Srinivas concept. Okay, so Andre Bethé, C. Dubé, all these thinkers have contested the understanding which has been developed by the British and explain that. So that the answer is going to be good. You will not face a problem with the content also. Otherwise, if this question is asked, because I know most of you may not prepare that historical aspect too much. In case if it is asked, the chances of asking this question is very rare. They will ask you from the post-independence only. But even then, I'm just taking the different possibility, and I'm telling you, if you are if you're stuck in this situation, what you need to do, talk about what all things you have mentioned, the situations in which Indology came, situation in which they have started village studies because they need to go for administration. They need to know land revenue system, legal system, and everything. there is no other way. They went for the study. Then there are different administrators who conducted the study. I've given everything in the note, Charles Metcalf, Max Mullers and everything. Okay. And then talk about these understanding have been challenged as a criticism you can write. Then I don't think that you will face any problem. So what I want to tell you is if it is a 10 marker, hardly you need 50, 60 words about what the question is asked. And you're very strong in the other area. You write it as a criticism and as a continuation. That's how you need to fill your answer and that will be rewarded. Okay. Srinivas ethnographic study of Coorg, just go through that dominant caste concept and everything. Field view on Indian village, simply they're asking you field view on Indian village. 2 examples which you need to give definitely. See, they're asking you MN Srinivas any time, any question, his perspective, his approach, whatever it is, you should be talking about dominant caste and Sanskritization. That need to be there in your answer. Okay, guys, I hope, do you want me to explain what is dominant caste and Sanskritization? I hope it is known to you, right? So that is the idea, I'm skipping it. So if this question is asked, by using that too, you can challenge the book view and you can tell exactly what is field view. It shows the reality. Okay. Agrarian social structure. Land reform, I think it is a repetition. Now, they can ask you specifically factors in, the problems in implementation of land reform. These are the factors, legal factors, emotional attachment factors. So consequences, mainly impact on joint family. What happened? One of the most important reason for emergence of nuclear family in India is what? Land reform. Okay. That led to fission. You might have studied the life cycle of family. What is the life cycle of family? We'll discuss in family chapter. Joint family fissioned into nuclear family, which again fused into joint family, then again fission. That's what life cycle of family. Very important concept, guys. That can be asked as a question from family. Household dimensions of family. There also you need to talk about life cycle of family. Okay. So here, a family can have this much amount of land, means there is a 10 parental group in a joint family. What they do, let's suppose a family can have 10 acres of land and total 100-acre land is there. What they can do the best is they divide the family into 10 and each will have 10 acre. That way you can save the land, right? Rural inequality actually increased. Okay, you can read and you will understand the study is also given here. That why it actually happened is those who got the land, they were not able to cultivate because of expenses and all. Ultimately, they sold and then again they became poor. Impact on classes, new classes have emerged, I've told, social conflict, improper implementation of land reform, migration, non-agricultural area to agricultural area migration, non-agricultural area to urban area migration because of lack of opportunities. What is the impact of migration? It affects the demography also. Here, in the non-green revolution area, male is migrating. So here female population will increase, their male population will increase. So if you see one of the reason for skewed sex ratio in Punjab and Haryana, the reason may be attributed to green revolution, according to Nivedita Menon and all, okay? And secondly, this green revolution made these farmers very affluent. So when the technology came, they have access to technologies, they can pay money and they can get everything, right? That also led to a lot of female infanticide. Impact on caste system, I've told you guys. Green revolution, again, you will see almost the same consequences. Unrest, increase in labor, because green revolution made inequality. Some of them can survive, some large scale can survive, small cannot survive. They lost their land, they sold their land, they became agricultural laborers, and that's how increase in labor actually. Migration, I've told you, ecological consequences not significant for us. Caste system, the caste structure altered. After green revolution, dominant caste have emerged. Some group have become so dominant. Why? Already they are numerically strong. Now they're economically strong and they can capture the political power because of their numerical strength. So they emerge dominant in the area. Class, new types of class have emerged. Farmers class, rich farmers classes have emerged. Now this is also a question which can be asked, guys. Mode of production in Indian agriculture. So what you need to tell him this answer is, it is neither feudalistic completely nor capitalistic completely. It is semi-feudalistic or semi-capitalist. Or you write in this way, pre-green revolution, feudalistic, having some element of capitalism. That means semi-feudalistic. Semi-feudalistic means semi-capitalism also, but use the word feudalistic, semi-feudalistic. Post-independence, Capitalist shift is there. So use capitalist, but say semi-capitalist. So pre-Green Revolution, you are saying feudalist, semi-feudalist, that means some elements of capitalism. Post-Green Revolution, semi-capitalist with some element of feudal elements. What are that capital element? What are that feudal element? Everything is there. Read that. Who told these? It's by Amit Bhaduri and I don't remember the other person. This is Amit Bhaduri and then yeah, KL Sharma. Yes. Okay. Ranjit Sen. So just write exactly the same thing. If the question is asked, just reproduce. Nothing you want to add from your side. They will ask you direct question only from here. Change in mode of production in India, right? So semi-feudalism to semi-capitalism. But still, it is not completely capitalism. There are still feudal elements which are left in our system. When I say feudal element, it is mainly subsistence agriculture. Capital means profit motive, commercial, right? Large scale. There it is subsistence, small scale. And there it is obligatory relation. Here it is contractual relation, like that. Commercialization, market economy, cash crops, and all these things. Even before also it was there. That is what I mean by feudal element most, but some capitalist element was there. Pre-Green Revolution also. Impact of the land reform we discussed already. Modernization, go through this. Westernization. Westernization, when it is asked, the concept is given by M.N. Srinivas. Talk about primary westernization, secondary westernization, tertiary. Okay, read this. It is very simple concept. Also, towards the end, you need to talk about a concept given by Dipankar Gupta. Mark it, that may not be there here. That is Westoxication. Rather than taking the good elements of the West, we have taken bad elements, and we our culture have changed very badly like that. There is a concept given by Dipankar Gupta that is also somewhere mentioned towards the bottom, but that need to be there towards the end. The question is asked on westernization, talk about the good points and everything, and then write about Westoxication. Same structural functional approach. Land tenure system. The Indian villages as depicted through the colonial perspective has been challenged through the work of some scholars. So what you need to do, it's a long question. So talk about colonial perspective, which I've told you, and then postmodern understanding. In that, you need to bring in M.N. Srinivas, S.C. Dubé, Andre Bette. S.C. Dubé I have incorporated in your answer, one paragraph. Andre Bette also I have given the statement in his study of Sripuram village. Everything is there, guys. Just go through that. Okay, and you need to write accordingly. There is no problem. Now, guys, socio-religious reform movement, they can ask you from different community. For example, from Sikh, they can ask you. Parsi, they can ask you. Muslim, they can ask you. Okay, even though socio-religious reform movement, you also talk about revivalist movement. Like if it is Muslim, you talk about Wahhabi movement, Ahmadiyya movement, Aligarh movement. All those you talk about that and the impact also. Similarly, from Hindu side, if they ask, you talk about Brahmo Samaj, Arya Samaj, Prarthana Samaj, Satyashodak Samaj, all those you mentioned. Okay, if they generally ask, otherwise they can ask you Satyashodak Samaj specifically, then talk about that. Okay, there is no point in telling all those things. These are very simple questions, right? Direct, straightforward. If you are getting it, you are lucky. Straightforward. Here it is there, S.C. Dubé. Okay, the 6 features is going to be very important, guys. Okay, the 6 features in the Shamirpet village, very, very important. Market. I forgot to insert this, underline it. M.N. Srinivas concepts of Sanskritization, dominant caste. Any question is asked, you need to write that. Okay. Land reform question. Now, this is a very simple chapter, the different classes. You need to prepare for middle class, the characteristics of middle class, emergence of middle class, pre-British, the middle class, during British, mainly middle class, after Macular Minute and everything, you know that. And then post-independence, middle class, and current middle class, their aspirations, their problems, the suicide rates, the women concern, their, their aspirations and whatever is connected with sociology, mention that. Aspirations are high, like upper class. Salary is very less, just above lower class. That's why more suicides, right? Everything run with paycheck to paycheck, right? Every month you're getting something and you are surviving. You are paying EMI and everything. That's a big challenge. And one day, so here I have mentioned before independence, post independence. What are the asset traders, translators, and etc. Here, post independence. Okay, but guys, you need to write. I've seen some of you are doing like this. Now, see, in case if you're drawing branches, don't do like this, like a mosque, you know what, something like this. Draw it properly with proper lines. Okay, don't, when you're encircling, don't do like this, like a flower. Don't do that. Just make a block diagram if you want to do that. Okay, and similarly, don't write just like these. Write in paragraph. Industrial class, they will ask you. Agrarian classes also. Okay, so prepare that. Middle class, industrial class, agrarian class, either the structure or their problems, they can ask you the problems of middle class. Simply, the problems of industrial class. They can ask you questions. I've given you enough and more content. Nothing else is required, guys, beyond this for these topics. Don't run after too much of sources, guys. This is enough for you for these topics. Okay. For something extra is required, I'll let you know. For example, social movement. To write a decent answer, whatever we are providing, that is enough. But if you need to add or go beyond that, then only you need to read the stuffs that I've told you. Otherwise, it's fine. Like these are different classes, guys. You see bourgeois landowners, sharecroppers, agricultural laborers, and then Daniel Thorner have discussed Malik, Kizan, Mazdur, and Alavi have mentioned about bourgeois landowners, this class. Almost these are same, right? Kotowski mentioned about this. Alavi mentioned about this. Almost same. What Alavi, see here, this guy 3, this guy 4, out of which he added this colonial landowners. That's it. Otherwise, the 3 are same. Yes or no? So even this 3 also signifying this 3 only. They have just given the different name. But in this 2 case, if you see, they have given the same name, in between one more added. You need to write these names. And these are general, right? These are general. Rich farmers, middle farmers, poor farmers. Is it difficult to remember, guys? No, agricultural class structure is easy. And then explain what do you mean by rich farmer, especially after Green Revolution. Those who got the advantage of reform and then land reform and then implemented Green Revolution, they became rich farmers. And then middle farmer, landless laborers. Recent trends, okay. Now, there is no point in me discussing this. What is social reform? Various social religious reform movements in pre-independence period. You know that Brahmo Samaj, Arya Samaj, Prarthana Samaj, Satyashodhak Samaj. Within different community you talk about, guys. Okay, Swami Vivekananda, and then in Islam, the Wahhabi movement, Ahmadiyya movement. Okay, Aligarh movement, all these. Women movement, okay, actually this is something which has to come from women, social movement chapter, but why I've incorporated here is because social religious reform movement is there. In that, they can ask you this also. Women movement in colonial period. What are they, guys? Nothing. You talk about Prarthana Samaj. It is also addressing the question of women. Even Buddhism also addressing the question of, but it is colonial period. So let's stick to Prarthana Samaj. Arya Samaj also, to an extent, women question is addressed. Intercaste marriage is promoted. Brahmo Samaj, Sati and all. Okay. Even Aligarh movement also. So all the socio-religious reform movement, one way or the other, is connected to women. So can we write all these? And can we write national movement, freedom struggle? That is also addressing questions of women, right? That also need to be there in your answer. These are very simple. You see, you cannot prepare like separately for each and every question, guys. Okay, something which you have done in some area, they will ask you questions like this. You should be, this is what I mean by that, word mindset in the beginning, which I have used. If you have knowledge and then the mindset, then you can do it well. Middle class character and composition. Never forget whatever we have discussed in paper one also, Marx concept of middle class, bourgeoisization, proletarianization, polarization, Weber's idea, Dahrendorf concept. Bring in that here also. Never miss that. B.B. Misra is an authority. Talk about him obviously. Book view, field view, not discussing. Okay. It is about caste system. I've told you I've incorporated here because of the first chapter. Here, this also I've incorporated because if the question is asked on GS Ghurye or Ghurye's perspective, simply Ghurye's perspective, you have to talk about Ghurye's idea on caste, Ghurye's idea on tribe, Ghurye's idea on family, Ghurye's idea on religion. All these need to be there in your answer, even if the question is from the first chapter. Okay? Sikh community, religious movement, they can ask you Parsi also, just refer that. I don't think I've mentioned it. Almost all religious communities. So in this, I have incorporated, I think it is taken from some other sources directly, cut, copy, paste. But see, everything is there. Muslim, Brahmo Samaj, yeah, reform movement among Hindus, right? Brahmo Samaj, Satyashodhak Samaj, Arya Samaj, Temple Entry, Pratana Samaj. Go through this, guys. This is a question which I've told you. Change in mode of production. Semi-feudalism to semi-capitalism. Post-Green Revolution, capitalism with feudal elements. Pre-Green Revolution, feudalism with some capitalist element. What are the capitalist element before? Commercial crop was there, market economy was there, selling and buying of land was there, marketization of land was there. All those are capital elements. Okay. Bonded labor, guys, you just go through for this. You need to. I wanted to cut, copy, paste that also, but I forgot that. Bonded labor, you go through essential sociology. If you don't have, I'll share that also. See, in essential sociology, they have mentioned. No, it is not here. They've mentioned in Karnataka, bonded laborers are known in these names. In Tamil Nadu, these names. Telangana, these names. Andhra Pradesh, these names. So you can write some examples, right? So that it will be filled with content. Everybody will write it, so I don't want you to miss that. Poverty elevation. Just go through this various schemes. Complete schemes are given here. They may ask you one question. But guys, what they do is they'll just simply ask you NREGA. Answer in a sociological perspective. So what you need to do, you need to talk about what is NREGA briefly and then talk about the impact, consequences of it. How is it affecting the rural social structure? How it is empowering women, if it is happening, right? And how it is empowering the weaker section, right? So everything which is connected with sociology, you need to mention. Class impact, migration impact, classes, everything need to be incorporated. Social background of internationalism. Guys, these are direct topics. Yes, I think here I have mentioned, let's see here. See this guy, this is what, yeah, I have added that. I wanted to add that here. So this is from Essential Sociology only. This is what I wanted to add, different names in different places. So just remember this if possible. Just remember it, okay? That's it, guys. That's for the day. Any doubts now you can ask related to this. I think I have given you an idea about what you need to write in these chapters. Now, if time is there, we will once more go through some of the questions of this tomorrow, or I'll take up other chapters tomorrow, and then towards the end we'll try to solve previous year papers. Okay, so we will do it together. Okay, guys. Any doubts? Now, one more thing, guys. If I have opened your message and you see the blue tick, not shared your answer script, just remind me. I might have missed it. I might have evaluated. It is there in the Google Drive, but I have forgotten. Right? Otherwise, if I have not opened, don't worry. I'll get it done today or tomorrow. Any doubts here, guys? Yeah, paycheck is like drugs, and then you will see, even once you become IAS IPS officers also, still you are going to live in paychecks only, right? Your notes have incorporated everything, whatever is possible, guys. See, you will have to refer to many sources, right? That's not required. Whatever we are giving, whatever I'm giving for that particular, these 5 chapters, now why, I don't think why you need to go with something else. Even if you go with something else, will you be able to remember? Now if you have that capacity to remember everything, just remember everything what I have given to you, guys. That's the best thing that you can do. Trust your mentor first. Okay, so that's the best thing that you can do. If you can remember these things, you're going to do very good. Not only remembering, if you can write all these things in an appropriate area, you're going to do really good. Stick to this. Okay, guys, we'll stop here. I can't find any messages. Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. See you guys. See you tomorrow, guys. Actually, I have a problem with I got badly hurt on my back and I was taking rest for 2-3 days in gym while I was lifting. That's why I couldn't take to yesterday. Okay, guys, we'll do it tomorrow. See you guys.